Some games age, while others simply humiliate time itself. Titles made more than a decade ago, yet still delivering lessons in storytelling, gameplay, and soul, things many modern productions seem to have forgotten. It's impressive how, even with dated graphics, they remain more alive, intense, and memorable than most current releases. Today, we revisit 22 games that proved soul, creativity, and strong direction matter far more than any next-gen engine. Before we start, if you can give us a hand, subscribe to the channel. We're aiming for 50K, and your subscription will help a lot. Also, drop a comment. Which older game do you think is truly incomparable? Without further delay, let's dive into the list. Infamous Second Son is the kind of game that still impresses with its style and energy even years later. It presents a living city filled with chaos and power where every choice directly shapes the world around you. It's a story about freedom, rebellion, and the consequences of defying an oppressive system. Despite its age, it still radiates incredible strength in every moment. Gameplay is the beating heart of it all. The powers are wildly creative, transforming how you move, fight, and explore the city. One moment you're gliding between skyscrapers, the next you're blasting enemies in a storm of neon energy. Combat is fast, intense, and gives you a constant sense of mastery. It's pure action, crafted for non-stop thrill seekers. The visuals remain striking even after all this time. The rainy city, neon lights reflecting off puddles, and particle effects create an atmosphere that still feels modern. It's a game that used every detail to reinforce the sensation of power and presence. The art direction carries a strong identity, and few have matched that style to this day. Infamous Second Son stands as a vivid reminder of when games had personality and soul. It didn't need absolute realism to be unforgettable, just inspired ideas and flawless execution. Everything about it is stylish, from the powers to the world that reacts to you. It's the kind of game that survives time with ease because it was built to be remembered. Sleeping Dogs is one of the most unfairly forgotten titles of its generation. It delivers a gripping story full of emotion and moral dilemmas, set within a vibrant, dangerous city. The plot puts you in the shoes of someone torn between duty and loyalty, and that duality gives weight to every mission. It's storytelling that captures you through emotion, not just action. And even after years, it's impossible not to get invested. The combat is brutally satisfying. Sharp strikes, precise counters, and finishing moves that feel like bloody choreography create an addictive rhythm. Mixing martial arts with car chases and shootouts adds huge variety to the gameplay. Nothing feels out of place. Every move has weight and consequence. It's action crafted with authenticity and care. The city is one of the most alive ever designed in a game. Bright streets, rain-soaked alleys, and constant traffic noise build an environment that feels almost real. Every corner has personality, and wandering aimlessly can be as fun as completing missions. The atmosphere is so strong it still invites players back just to explore. Sleeping Dogs carries that rare essence of a game built to last. It blends action, emotion, and humanity in a way few have repeated. Everything feels designed to pull you in completely, from the brutal fights to the quiet moments. Though overlooked by many, it remains a hidden gem that shows how the old days knew how to tell truly great stories. Bulletstorm is chaos in game form, a wild festival of exaggeration and creativity. Released at a time when shooters tried to be serious, it did the exact opposite. It embraced absurdity. The story throws you into a revenge mission overflowing with sarcasm, brutality, and dark humor. Every weapon feels built for maximum destruction, and every kill turns into a spectacle of style and insanity. The gameplay defines everything. Instead of just shooting, you're encouraged to be inventive, turning each fight into a dance of carnage. The energy leash, the kicks, and environmental traps create nearly endless possibilities. The style point system makes every battle a personal challenge, rewarding those who think outside the box. The environments are a spectacle of their own. Each stage mixes futuristic ruins, bizarre creatures, and explosions that dominate the screen. It's a game unafraid to be excessive, and that's exactly why it's so unforgettable. Even years later, it's hard to find anything with this mix of madness, humor, and pure adrenaline. Bulletstorm is a love letter to over-the-top action. It doesn't aim for depth. It delivers raw fun with rare confidence. It's the kind of game that fully understands entertainment, insane pacing, creative combat, and unrestrained enjoyment. A cult classic that still reminds us how games can be unapologetically wild. Dishonored 2 is a game that makes you feel clever at every step. It takes everything the first one did well and pushes it to a new level of freedom, creativity, and atmosphere. The story revolves around revenge and power, wrapped in a dense, mysterious world. Each location feels like a massive puzzle, and you decide how to solve it with subtlety, brutality, or sheer ingenuity. Gameplay is a perfect mix of stealth and action. Supernatural abilities open entirely different paths, and every approach brings unique outcomes. Infiltrating a mansion can be a massacre or a silent masterpiece depending on your choice. That freedom generates unforgettable moments where improvisation and planning constantly intertwine. The environments are interactive works of art. Decaying cities, mechanical mansions, and streets full of secrets make every mission distinct. The attention to detail is astounding. Every room tells a story. Every note hides a piece of the world. It's the kind of design that rewards patience and curiosity equally. Dishonored 2 is pure mastery in game form. It doesn't need to shout to feel grand. It's all in how it makes you think, act, and create. Few games have managed to merge freedom and elegance so seamlessly. Even years later, it remains a lesson in how choices can be turned into something truly unforgettable. Metro 2033 is one of the most atmospheric games ever made. Set in the underground ruins of Moscow, it turns the post-apocalypse into something intimate and terrifying. Every tunnel is a living reminder of a world that lost hope, and every step brings the sense of being watched. The mood is heavy, silent, and packed with tension, a true plunge into loneliness and fear. The gameplay is dense and methodical. Scarce resources make every bullet matter, and even changing the filter on your gas mask becomes a desperate moment. The blend of stealth, survival, and combat creates a unique rhythm where thinking before acting is essential. It's not just about shooting, it's about surviving a world that wants to consume you. The atmosphere makes everything unforgettable. Dim flashlight beams, distant growls, and echoing voices create a constant feeling of danger. Environments tell stories without words, and the contrast between the metro and the ruined surface is remarkable. Few games deliver such emotional weight purely through setting. Metro 2033 isn't just a shooter, it's a journey about fear, hope, and humanity. It proves that horror can come from silence and that the true enemy isn't always the monster, but despair itself. Even after so many years, it remains a benchmark for atmosphere and total immersion. Uncharted 3 is adventure in its purest form. It blends cinematic action, humor, and epic moments in a rhythm that never slows down. Every setting feels pulled straight from a movie, with insane chases, mysterious ruins, and twists that keep your heart racing. It's a game that makes you feel part of a grand journey, filled with emotion and discovery. Gameplay is a perfect mix of shootouts, climbing, and clever puzzles. Transitions between each sequence are so seamless that everything flows like one continuous action scene. The battles have weight, the escapes are intense, and the interactive set pieces remain impressive even today. It all works with near cinematic precision. The visuals were mind-blowing at the time and still impress. Desert sands, ancient cities, and hidden temples create a visual spectacle full of color and motion. The art direction is flawless, turning every location into a lasting memory. Each place feels like it has its own story to tell, as if the world itself were alive around you. Uncharted 3 represents the peak of modern adventure. It balances action, narrative, and emotion with mastery, delivering something that remains thrilling years later. It's a title worth revisiting just to relive its grand set pieces and the joy of a well-told story. Castlevania Lords of Shadow was a landmark in reinventing a classic franchise. The story is dark and grand, mixing faith, pain, and redemption in a journey that feels like a legend told by firelight. Every setting carries symbolic weight. Every creature feels torn from a gothic nightmare. It embraces the epic while keeping a deeply human, tragic tone. Combat is intense and heavy. Using the Sacred Whip gives a sense of control and impact few games have matched. Enemies are massive, and boss battles feel choreographed with precision. The mix of combos, dodges, and magic creates an addictive rhythm, constantly challenging your skill and focus. The environments are breathtaking. Cursed forests, ruined castles, and ancient temples come together in flawless art direction. The scale of the landscapes is monumental, and every stage feels like a living painting in motion. The cinematic camera enhances the grandeur, turning each step into a visual spectacle. Castlevania Lords of Shadow balances brutality and beauty like few others. It has soul, weight, and a melancholic edge that makes it unforgettable. A game that defined a generation not only for its technique, but for the emotion it conveyed. A true epic that recalls the time when every adventure felt legendary. Splinter Cell Conviction brought a completely new rhythm to the franchise, and it's still remembered as one of the most intense entries in the series. The narrative is personal, fueled by anger and desperation, with a protagonist driven by raw emotion. The tone is sharper, more direct, and that changes how the story is told. It's espionage with a raw human edge. Gameplay is fast and aggressive. The mark and execute system brought a new dynamism, letting you eliminate multiple enemies in sequence with impressive fluidity. Stealth remains essential, but now it's paired with a constant sense of urgency. Every mission throws you into tense situations where instincts become your greatest weapon. The nighttime visuals and use of light are part of the gameplay itself. Shadows, reflections, and stark contrasts create an oppressive atmosphere where every move could be your last. The way mission info is projected onto walls and environments was innovative and stylish. It's a game that treated immersion and aesthetics as inseparable. Splinter Cell Conviction is a reminder of how action and storytelling can move together without losing identity. It blends personal drama with high-level espionage, creating intense, memorable moments. Even today, it stands as an example of pacing, tension, and style. Proof that being direct can be far more effective than trying to be grand. The Stanley Parable is one of the most unique games ever made. It doesn't give you answers, only questions, and does so with sharp, witty humor. The story revolves around freedom and control, questioning what it really means to have choice in a video game. It's a game about you, your decisions, and how much you trust what's being told. Every step feels like a test, and every ending changes how you see the game itself. Gameplay is simple, but its impact is enormous. Walking through hallways and deciding which door to open becomes much bigger than it seems. The narrator provokes, mocks, and reacts to your actions, making disobedience part of the fun. Nothing is predictable, and the constant feeling is that you're inside an experiment disguised as a game. The minimalist visuals work perfectly for what it sets out to do. Empty offices, white lights, and endless corridors create a cold, confusing atmosphere. Everything is built to leave you uncomfortable without ever needing to scare you. The silence between the narrator's lines is as important as what he says, and that balance is genius. The Stanley Parable is a satire on the very concept of video games. It makes you laugh, reflect, and even doubt your own actions. Few titles have managed to be so simple yet so profound. It's the kind of game that stays with you for years, not for graphics or action, but for making you question what it really means to play. BioShock 2 takes you back into the depths of rapture, but from a different perspective, that of someone already part of the nightmare. The story blends tragedy, power, and guilt, told through echoes of a world that dared to play God. This time, the focus is more emotional, exploring what's left of humanity amid madness. Every encounter feels like a reminder of the price of unchecked ambition. The gameplay is solid and addictive. Playing as a Big Daddy prototype changes the combat's rhythm entirely, granting raw strength never felt in the first game. The mix of weapons and plasmids opens up varied strategies, while confrontations involving the Little Sisters bring moments of pure tension. Everything feels more aggressive, heavier, yet still deeply tragic. The atmosphere remains spectacular. Rapture is decaying, covered in rust and despair, yet it still retains a morbid beauty. Flickering lights underwater and the distant hum of machinery heighten the sense of isolation. Every corner feels alive, and exploring isn't just curiosity, it's piecing the story together through ruins. BioShock 2 proves that even a sequel can carry its own soul. It deepens the themes of the first game and delivers unforgettable moments, dark, melancholic, and brutal, yet profoundly human. A powerful reminder that horror doesn't always come from creatures. Sometimes it comes from the choices we make while chasing something greater. Shadow of the Colossus is poetry in game form. It doesn't need long dialogues or complex plots to captivate you. Silence, solitude, and the weight of your task are enough. Each Colossus is a living mountain, and every victory feels more like a loss. The story speaks of sacrifice and guilt in a world as empty as it is beautiful, a game that makes you reflect even without saying a word. Gameplay is simple, yet loaded with tension. Climbing giant creatures is a mix of desperation and pure adrenaline. Every movement is deliberate, every strike has meaning, and the silence between battles feels almost sacred. There's no rush, no distraction, only you, your goal, and the constant doubt of whether you're doing the right thing. The visuals have aged like art. Even in the older versions, there's something almost spiritual in the way light falls over ruins and desolate fields. The monumental scale of the creatures and the emptiness of the world create a rare sense of melancholy. Everything feels alive and at the same time doomed to vanish. It's a world meant to be contemplated, not conquered. Shadow of the Colossus is the kind of game that leaves a mark without ever needing to explain why. It speaks directly to the player, stirring emotions far beyond victory. It's about purpose, loss, and regret. An absolute classic that proves silence can speak louder than any word. Batman: Arkham City is the pinnacle of what a superhero game can be. It takes everything that worked in the previous entry and expands it in scale, intensity, and freedom. The story throws you into an isolated city ruled by criminals, where the line between hero and avenger grows increasingly blurred. The narrative is dense, full of twists and unforgettable moments that grip you from start to finish. Gameplay is a spectacle of fluidity and precision. The combat system is intuitive and addictive, letting you face dozens of enemies with style and brutality. Exploration with the grappling hook and glider creates a natural rhythm that makes you feel like the true Dark Knight. Every encounter is a choreographed clash of blows, and every victory feels earned. The city itself is the stage for this story. Packed with detail, dark atmosphere, and hidden secrets, it becomes a character in its own right. Patrolling alleys, investigating crimes, and hearing distant sirens creates impressive immersion. Even years later, it's hard to find a world this convincing within the genre. Arkham City is a masterclass in design and storytelling in balance. It makes you feel powerful, but also human, vulnerable, and driven by purpose. It's the kind of game that set a standard and remains relevant today. Returning to it is always a reminder of how a well-crafted story can transform even the most familiar hero into something new. Bloodborne is a nightmare that fascinates from beginning to end. Every street, every sound, every shadow carries a constant sense of unease, as if the world itself were on the verge of collapse. The city is a living labyrinth, consumed by madness, and filled with creatures born from the worst imaginable dreams. Nothing is explained outright, and that's exactly what makes it magnetic. It invites you into the unknown, and before you realize, you're trapped in its madness. The gameplay is fast, aggressive, and merciless. Here, hesitation means death. Combat demands reflexes, courage, and precise enemy reading, turning every fight into a duel of pure tension. Regaining health by striking instead of hiding is a simple idea, but it changes the pace completely. Fear becomes drive, and rage becomes survival. Few games turn failure into learning as well as this one. World design is a masterpiece of cohesion and mystery. Twisting streets connect in surprising ways, revealing shortcuts that make the map feel like a living organism. Every structure has purpose, every symbol holds meaning, and the sense of discovery is constant. The terror doesn't come from jump scares, but from curiosity, that dangerous urge to uncover what lies behind the horror. It rewards those who observe as much as those who fight. Bloodborne is brutal, melancholic, and artistically flawless. Its mix of cosmic horror and Victorian aesthetic creates something beyond the genre. It speaks of madness, of twisted faith, and the price of forbidden knowledge. Everything about it is symbolic, unsettling, yet hypnotic. Even years later, it remains one of the most impactful works ever made, proof that beauty can exist even in the middle of hell. The Last of Us is more than a story about a ruined world. It's about what remains when everything is lost. It speaks of survival, but also of love, guilt, and the burden of decisions. The journey begins in chaos, and soon transforms into something profoundly human, filled with moments that feel painfully real. Every encounter, every dialogue, every glance carries something time cannot erase. The gameplay is tense, raw, and emotional. Choosing to fight or run is never easy, and each confrontation reminds you how fragile life is. Crafting a makeshift weapon, finding an old rag or an empty bottle can mean the difference between life and death. Nothing feels heroic, everything is about necessity, fear, and courage. It grips you because it makes you feel the weight of every step. The world is both melancholic and beautiful. Cities are reclaimed by nature, buildings collapse, and the silence of streets echoes like a lament. Every place seems to hold forgotten stories, as if humanity left its traces before vanishing. There's a constant sadness in everything, but also a strange glimmer of hope hidden in the ruins. The Last of Us is about bonds formed in despair. It makes you question what it means to protect someone when the world has already given up. A raw, honest portrait of humanity filled with pain, but also empathy. Even after so many years, it remains one of the most powerful games ever made, proving that emotion and storytelling can be as strong as any bullet or explosion. Killzone Shadowfall was one of the games that showcased the generational leap with the most impact. Even now, it impresses with its scale, lighting, and the cold technological tone of its world. The story throws you into a war marked by division and fear in a society struggling to survive behind walls and ideologies. It's a tense, striking, and unforgiving universe where distrust never fades. Every mission feels like another step deeper into a conflict that's already lost its meaning. The gameplay mixes tactical action with freedom of approach. The pacing is slower than previous entries, making combat more strategic. Using the support drone, choosing between direct assault or stealth, and taking advantage of vertical environments creates variety and intensity. Each firefight is a fast-paced puzzle where mistakes come at a high price. The game gives you powerful tools but demands complete control to survive. The graphics remain stunning even years later. Natural lighting, metallic reflections, and environmental detail make everything feel real. Futuristic cities and battlefields littered with wreckage are chillingly beautiful. It's easy to stop and just take in the scenery, noticing the care in every texture. Technically, it still outshines many modern games. Killzone Shadowfall is remembered as a symbol of what the new generation once promised. It has identity, weight, and visuals that feel timeless. Even if not the most celebrated of the series, it carries a unique charm born of ambition. It's one of those games that age with dignity, a reminder that detail and vision matter more than sales figures. God of War 3 is divine chaos in its purest form. From the very first minute, it erupts onto the screen with a spectacle of fury and destruction that few games have ever dared to match. Every strike, every scream, every environment feels crafted to shock. The story is a relentless climb of vengeance bordering on the impossible, with each new encounter more epic than the last. It's brutal, grand, and unapologetic, a true colossus of the genre. Gameplay is visceral and precise. Combat is a bloody ballet between blades, monsters, and gods that seem indestructible. The variety of weapons, insane combos, and sheer sense of overwhelming power create an addictive rhythm. There's no time to breathe because the game doesn't let up. It wants you to feel the weight of every decision, every massacre. It's pure interactive spectacle, and everything responds with impressive fluidity. The visuals remain jaw-dropping even today. The scale of the environments is absurd. Floating temples, colossal titans, and Olympus itself as a battlefield. The art direction is a triumph of creativity, mixing mythology and destruction with cinematic precision. Facing enemies of unimaginable size and actually battling them is something few games have ever pulled off with such intensity. God of War 3 is one of those titles that defined what grandeur means in gaming. It doesn't aim for realism, it aims for legend. Brutal, cathartic, and full of energy, it was made to be remembered as one of the greatest spectacles ever created. Even after so many evolutions in the series, this chapter still carries a near mythological power, impossible to forget. Sekiro is the kind of game that breaks you and rebuilds you. Every defeat teaches, every victory feels like a miracle won by force. The story blends honor, vengeance, and spirituality in a Japan ravaged by war, where every clash is a duel between life and death. There's no room for mistakes or excuses. The game demands precision, patience, and courage. It's hard, but also incredibly rewarding. Gameplay is a work of art in motion. The posture and counter system creates a rhythm like a deadly dance, where every strike must be perfect. Landing a parry at the exact moment is addictive, almost musical. Everything depends on reading the enemy and trusting your own hands. It's a constant battle against fear and your own reflex. The world is stunning and cruel. Mist-covered forests, ruined temples, and silent villages form a setting that seems to breathe sadness. Every place holds secrets and fragmented stories, hidden among blood and ashes. It's a universe where even beauty feels sick, and melancholy is in every detail. Everything is built with purpose, and nothing is gratuitous. Sekiro is about perseverance and discipline, but also about understanding failure as part of the path. It doesn't hold your hand, but teaches you to get up and try again until you win. Few games turn frustration into learning so elegantly. It's intense, technical, and deeply human, a true test of strength and soul. Deus Ex: Mankind Divided is one of the most underrated games of the past generation. It delivers a world split by fear and prejudice, where technological progress has become a source of conflict and discrimination. The story is political, tense, and full of nuance, showing how humanity and machine can blur. It's mature science fiction that makes you think more than many films in the genre. Gameplay is deep and full of possibilities. You can invade systems, hack cameras, sneak through shadows, or face everything head-on. The game lets you decide. Each augmentation changes how you approach the world, and consequences appear in both combat and conversations. That freedom creates a real sense of authorship, as if each mission were written by you. The world is detailed and convincing. Buildings, alleys, and subway stations carry their own stories, with NPCs who feel like they exist beyond your presence. The urban design reflects tension and inequality, with a cold technological atmosphere that grips from start to finish. The visual palette and metallic tones reinforce the mood of constant surveillance. Everything feels mechanically alive. Mankind Divided is the kind of game that went unnoticed but aged with dignity. It combines smart storytelling, complex gameplay, and a universe that feels more current than ever. It's a work about control, fear, and identity, and proof that good ideas never go obsolete. A quiet classic that deserved far more recognition. Skyrim is the kind of game that redefines freedom. From the first step, the world opens like an invitation to lose track of time. Snowy mountains, ancient ruins, and forgotten caves blend into a living setting full of mysteries and stories waiting to be found. Nothing is forced. You choose the pace, the path, and who you want to be. It's a universe that accepts how you want to play. Gameplay is a true sandbox of possibilities. You can become a feared warrior, a powerful mage, or a thief living in the shadows. Combat is straightforward and satisfying, with spells, swords, and bows that respond naturally. Progression is built on curiosity, and the reward comes from every step off the main road. It's a game made to be explored, not finished. Skyrim's world has a soul. Lively villages, guards chatting, the distant wind, everything feels like it exists regardless of you. Day-night cycles, shifting weather, and visual details create a real sense of presence. Even the legendary bugs became part of the charm. Few games remain so immersive more than a decade later. Skyrim is more than an RPG. It's a collective memory. It marked generations, became a meme, became a joke, but never lost relevance. Even today, revisiting its lands feels like coming home after a long time. It proves that when a game is well built, time doesn't age it, it turns it into legend. Dante's Inferno is brutal, insane, and incredibly poetic at the same time. Inspired by the classic work, it drags you into hell both literally and symbolically. Each circle represents a sin, and each scenario is a grotesque portrait of the human soul. The game blends religion, violence, and remorse in a journey of guilt and redemption. It's disturbing, yet impossible to put down. Gameplay is intense and visceral. Combat mixes fluidity with brutality, alternating between the sacred whip and devastating magic. The sense of power grows with each enemy defeated, but the game never lets you forget the weight of your actions. Bosses are massive, and each battle feels like a visually spectacular punishment. It's pure rhythm, full of energy and purpose. Hell's design still impresses. Everything pulses, screams, and contorts in a spectacle of pain and art. The contrast between the beautiful and the grotesque is constant. Angelic sculptures mingle with indescribable torment. It's a game made to leave you uncomfortable and fascinated at the same time. Each circle is a different nightmare, yet visually impeccable. Dante's Inferno is a journey that blends philosophy and brutality. It speaks about human flaws with the same force that it delivers cinematic combat, a title that dared to handle difficult themes head-on without filters. Even with time, it remains one of the most impactful depictions of hell in games, and a reminder of when boldness still meant something. The Mafia series has always been about more than crime. It's about loyalty, loss, and the price of living by your own rules. Each game captures a different era with impressive fidelity, showing the glamour and rot that walk side by side in this world. From jazz-filled streets and vintage cars to alleys soaked in blood, everything breathes authenticity. It's a love letter to Mafia cinema with a touch of tragedy only games can deliver. Gameplay blends action and storytelling with rare balance. Shootouts have weight, chases are tense, and missions brim with personality. The pacing is more measured than in other open worlds, and that helps immersion. Every conversation, every gesture, every hidden traitor matters. It pulls you in not just by what you do, but by what's at stake emotionally. The settings are true period pieces. Recreated cities, fashion, cars, and even the way people talk transport you to a time when crime was almost an art. The whole trilogy shows the industry's evolution without losing that cinematic charm. Even in quiet moments, you feel the pressure of ambition and fate. It's a world that exacts a heavy price from anyone trying to control it. Mafia is a series about choices and consequences, about honor amid corruption, and how power always has a cost. Few games balance emotion and brutality with such class. Each entry is a different portrait of the same cycle of downfall and redemption. Even after so many years, it still means strong storytelling and impeccable atmosphere, a truly timeless classic. Ninja Gaiden is synonymous with challenge and precision. Since the original Xbox era, it became a legend for demanding reflex, patience, and total mastery of its mechanics. It's the kind of game that doesn't forgive mistakes but rewards mastery in unbelievable ways. The action is fast, brutal, and utterly relentless, a whirlwind of blades and blood that tests even veterans. Combat is the heart of the game. Every movement must be calculated, every dodge timed exactly right. Mastering the rhythm is what separates victory from defeat. Enemies show no mercy, and bosses are lessons in humility. But that difficulty is exactly what makes each win so satisfying. When everything flows, the game becomes a perfect choreography of destruction and control. The design is straightforward yet stylish. Varied stages full of traps and lethal foes force adaptation every second. Animations are fluid, and each hit feels tangible. Even years later, the speed and precision still impress. It's a title that feels modern without relying on flashy tricks. Ninja Gaiden is the symbol of fair challenge, the kind that hurts but teaches. It doesn't try to please you, it tries to mold you. A test of patience and skill, a reminder of when games demanded total dedication. Every enemy beaten is a small personal triumph. And that's why, even today, it's remembered as one of the greatest skill tests ever made. It's amazing how these games remain so striking after so long. They came from a time when every detail had purpose, when the goal wasn't realism but feeling. And that's why they're still remembered with so much affection, because they delivered something many current titles forgot: soul. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like and subscribe to keep the project strong. We're always bringing lists, discoveries, and recommendations that remind you why you love games. And tell me in the comments which of these classics still surprises you more than today's releases. And if you want to stay in this vibe, check the video on screen with more legendary games worth playing. See you there, take care, good gameplay, and see you tomorrow.